So today we're going to tear into one of the most raw, honest, and I mean seriously gutsy texts ever written. This thing, it's not just a prayer. It's basically a formal lawsuit filed directly against God.
And this really gets to the heart of Psalm 44, doesn't it? It asks a question that honestly has probably haunted faithful people forever. What you do when everything you've ever believed about God just seems to fall apart in the face of what's happening to you.
Okay, so to really get this complaint, we've got to go back to the beginning. We need to see the foundation it's all built on. The crazy thing is, this psalm doesn't start with sadness. Nope, it kicks off by talking about this amazing, glorious past, a time when they were absolutely certain God was on their side.
And you have to understand, for the people writing this wasn't some fairy tale or ancient myth. This was their history. It was real. It was something passed down from their parents and their parents' parents. It was a story that made them who they were. They felt it in their bones.
And look at this list. I mean, what's so incredible here is the scale of it all. We're not talking about just winning a few skirmishes. This is a story of total, absolute dominance, all thanks to God. A God who is literally clearing the path for them, smashing their enemies, and just helping them flourish. And here's the kicker. This is the most important part. They are crystal clear that they didn't do any of this on their own. It wasn't because they had a better army or smarter generals. No way. They give 100% of the credit to God's power and, this is key, to the fact that God loved them.
So that's kind of like Act 1 of this whole drama, right? It ends on this massive high note. They are completely sure of themselves, totally proud. Their entire identity is tied up in this amazing winning God. They boast about him all day long.
But then, the story just hits a brick wall. That little phrase, but now, it's one of the most shocking U-turns you'll find in any ancient text. Everything, and I mean everything we just talked about, is about to get flipped completely upside down.
And this is where we get to the real heart of the complaint. What's happening now is a total, brutal reversal of fortune. The writer is basically saying, you know that amazing, victorious God we were just bragging about? Well, he's vanished.
And just listen to how blunt this is. There's no sugarcoating it. It's a straight-up accusation. They're not saying, oh, our enemy got stronger, or we made a mistake. Nope. They're saying the problem is God. He's not there anymore. He has actively rejected them and just walked off the battlefield.
And the consequences? Well, they're an absolute catastrophe. This is so much more than just losing a war. It's their entire nation, their whole sense of self, just coming apart at the seams. They're being robbed, scattered across the world, and that phrase, sold for a pittance, man, you can just feel the humiliation, to feel like you're worthless to the very God who used to cherish you.
And it's not just a private tragedy either. The pain goes public. They've become an international laughingstock, a joke that other nations tell. Think about that. The very same people who used to boast about their God are now being mocked everywhere they go. And the worst part? They believe God himself is the one who wrote this script of their humiliation. All right, so this brings us right to the core of their legal argument, if you will. Imagine a courtroom. The people are now taking the witness stand, and they're here to plead their case. And they're not just crying about how much it hurts. They are arguing, point blank, that what's happening to them is completely, totally unfair.
So here's the thing you have to get. They're claiming they're innocent. See, in their world, suffering on this scale usually meant one thing. You messed up. You broke your deal with God, and this is the punishment. But these guys, they flat out deny it. They're looking God in the eye and saying, we did our part. We kept our end of the bargain.
Yeah, this slide really lays it all out, doesn't it? It shows you the massive injustice they're feeling. On one side of the scale, you have their actions. We didn't forget you. We didn't turn away. A perfect track record. And on the other side, God's actions. You rejected us. You crushed us. It just doesn't make sense. The two sides don't balance. And what's so incredible is how bold they are. They're putting this chart right in front of God and saying, explain this.
So the writer basically asks this clever question, right? They say, look, if we were secretly cheating on you with other gods, wouldn't you, an all-knowing God, have known about it? And the unspoken answer is, duh, of course you would have. And the reason you haven't found anything is because there's nothing to find. It's this brilliant logical trap to prove they've been faithful.
And this is the final, bitter twist of the knife. They come to this awful conclusion that they're not suffering in spite of being loyal to God. They're suffering because of it. Their loyalty is the very thing that has painted a target on their backs. And they feel like God himself has just led them, like helpless sheep, right into the slaughterhouse.
So, They've made their case. They've used logic. They've presented the evidence, and they've come up empty. There's no good reason for what's happening. And so the tone shifts one last time. The courtroom argument is over. Now, all that's left is this raw, desperate, emotional plea for somebody to do something.
I mean, can you even imagine the nerve? They're literally yelling at God to wake up. They're accusing him of sleeping on the job. This is so far from a polite, quiet prayer. This is the sound of pure desperation. It's like shaking someone you love, screaming, "Wake up! Don't you see what's happening?"
And then the questions just get more personal, more painful. It's one thing to lose a fight. It's a whole other thing to feel like the person you trust more than anyone in the universe has completely forgotten you exist. That's what this is. It's the sound of utter abandonment. And this is the final plea. This is where it all ends up. After all the arguments about what's fair and who's innocent, all that's out the window. Their last-ditch effort isn't an appeal to justice. It's an appeal to mercy. They're basically saying, don't save us because we earned it. Save us because of who you are. Save us because of your famous, unfailing love. It's literally their last hope.
And so that leaves us with this huge, fascinating question, doesn't it? To complain this loud, to argue this hard with God, you have to actually believe He's there and that He's listening. So what are we really looking at here? Is this the sound of faith completely falling apart? Or is it actually proof of a faith that's so strong, so real, that it can survive a bare-knuckle fight with God Himself?